Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Joe Lopez. I'm here now with another episode on House Calls with Jonny Weber. Jonny Weber is a avid entrepreneur when it comes to mobile IV therapy. For those of you that don't know, he's been in mobile IV therapy since 2016. Founded 3 companies over the course of 2019, 2020, and 2021. Rocky IV Medics in 2019, Mobile IV Nurses in 2020, and in 2021, Lone Star IV Medics. Then, ultimately, let's fast forward to 2026, where he just did a merger with Mobile IV Medics. Not only merging with everybody and being incredible doing all that, but becoming the largest mobile IV therapy company in the United States. With that being said, Jonny, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here, man. Really understanding everything that's going on. And, before you did all of mobile IV therapy and all this stuff, take me back a little bit more. I believe you were a firefighter, paramedic for about, 19 years here in Arizona. Talk a little bit about that.
I started in the United States Air Force. After 9/11, I decided that I wanted to join the military, and I became a firefighter in the Air Force. Did that for 4 years, spent a year in Osan, Korea, and then spent the rest of my time at Luke Air Force Base.
How'd you like Korea?
It was great. When I was there, I wanted to get home, but you're just missing home. It was my first time overseas like that, and but it was a fantastic time. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just so you did, obviously you did paramedic stuff, firefighter. Were you a paramedic first or a firefighter first?
Firefighter first, and then became an EMT, and then became a paramedic. And when I started to become a paramedic, during the course of that, I was just like, this is what I love to do. I love the paramedicine side of things.
Awesome. So then fast forward then to 2016. That's how I know you obviously joined in the mobile IV therapy world. Talk to me about a little bit about that, and then obviously you transitioned out and built multiple companies. I believe you even had a little small stint with Mobile IV Medics.
Yep.
Honestly, companies here in the States, regardless of the merger, and then really want to jump into the merge as well.
Yeah, so in 2016, I started working with a company, and shortly after that, they stopped using paramedics in Arizona. And then, so me and my previous partner, we founded a company in Arizona, built that up. There weren't too many mobile IV hydration companies out there.
I think
to
you guys
begin
were
with.
second or the first.
Yeah, it was very, very low competition out there. But we pushed hard, and we got out there. We're both firefighters to begin with in Type A, and we're definitely motivated to push it out there. And we just started building our team, growing our team, bringing on nurses as well. And then, shortly after that, we in 2021 we did separate. But in 2019, I started with Brad and JC with Mobile IV Medics, and they were the founders of the company, but I helped them with getting it set up and whatnot. And then, the other history with Rocky Mountain IV Medics in 2019, Mobile IV Nurses 2020, and then Lone Star IV Medics in 2021.
That's awesome. I mean, like, it's just, the field, when I came into this field, I get a random message, asking like, hey, we like what you're doing. You do marketing. Can you look into this? And this was spot of COVID. And like at the time, my company, OMG Marketing, wasn't doing like the best because I actually we were losing clients because everything was shutting down in California.
Yep.
So I saw it, fell in love with it, and here I am 6 years later, and I've probably built, I'm kind of went down your path, honestly. And, we built out, we're helping at least 35 clients right now. We're helping build out a bunch of other things, and it's just, we have everything going on. And, with that being said, I would really like to just jump straight, not even beat around the bush and just jump straight into the merger. So you merged so Mobile IV Nurses and Mobile IV Medics merged, and you guys are literally the biggest company. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You guys have 1,100 nurses. I think you're in 25 states.
19 states.
19 states.
Yep.
And like, it's just, that's ridiculous. So like, what's the plan there ultimately, when you're going into it? And I'm actually really curious, I know, again, your former, CEO, completely understand that, you're now CPO of the company. I'm just curious how you went from CEO, obviously, down to CPO, and just would love to know the background story on that.
Yeah, I mean, when I got into this space, it was just going to be a side gig. Every firefighter has a side hustle, and they have a second job just to work on their off days. And it started as something just more of a hobby because it's great to go and treat people and to be able to take care of them when they need us and not see the trauma. When I started to see what this industry can provide for paramedics and nurses, Nurses get treated pretty poorly in the corporate world at the hospitals, and firefighters and nurses alike see kind of a lot of trauma, and they struggle with PTSD. So I saw this as a way that nurses and paramedics could get a mental break. They can get away from the hospital world and take care of people. They're not seeing the trauma, and they're loving what they do. And that's where the passion grew. And there's something about, through COVID, that passion really grew for me for the nurses, because they were really mistreated during COVID. And, when I started seeing everything, nurses take care of people don't take care of nurses, and I wanted to take care of nurses because they deserve it for sure. And the more that I got into the space and started growing the team, like, I never really focused on the competition or anything like that, because this whole pie, like, our individual slice of pie will grow as the pie grows itself.
Let me touch base on that. Do you believe in competition?
No, I'm not afraid of competition. I love it. It grows the industry as a whole. So if I'm focused on somebody else and focused on other competitors in the marketplace, like, that's taking away time and effort that I can put into my team. And, like, yeah, we see them. We want to be the best, but definitely not by attacking people or anything like that, because we're growing together. There's a lot of competitors out there that will complain about other companies, and they'll report them to the nursing board or the medical board. And when you do that, it puts a black eye on our industry. So I'm very fierce in protecting this industry, and I don't want anybody to get hurt in it. Obviously, if you're doing things wrong, then that makes sense. But there are some attacks that are done that are unfounded.
Yeah, I've had friends, really good friends, to recently, actually. I had a good friend of mine, has a company here in Arizona, and actually, you know what? I had one in Arizona, I had one in Montana, so two of them, really good friends. Still talk to them to this day. Everything's great, and they're like, "Well, Joe, I want you to just market for us. Why are you going to market for another company? You're just eating into my pie." And I was like, you know how many sick people there are? You know how many people need IVs? I said, even if everyone disappeared, let's pick Montana. If every company disappeared in Montana, and you were the only one there, you think you could field all these calls? And, like, it's impossible. And so, like, I never really, I get it. You want to make as much money as possible, when it comes into it. And, like, you try and do whatever you need to do. But ultimately, and it's going to sound like a cliche, but it really isn't. It's make the patient happy. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
People before profit. Like, I just don't. I honestly believe you're the one that actually said people before profit, and it actually stuck with me, throughout these years. And it's just crazy to me that, So again, we had conversations, and they were going back and forth, and they're like, well, we don't want you to potentially market for our competitors. I said, well, then unfortunately, we're probably gonna have to part ways then, because I'm not gonna turn off what we're doing, helping other people. No one's in your space, no one's in anything. I don't truly believe that there really is a bunch of competitors in the space. I don't think it's oversaturated. I don't think it's over anything. I think there's not enough people in the space to make it really something big. So I think we're kind of aligned there.
And it's a crazy world when you get into this competitive world, because within this industry specifically, because it's mostly nurses that open up their own businesses. And they didn't get any business training in the hospital or in their college or anything like that. So they're kind of learning as they go. And although I can't help companies now, I did in the past. And it was great, because I'd help them get out there, and then they'd start working. And then when we'd go to that location, or if they were in our location area, then we'd kind of rely on each other, because we can't cover every call that comes through. They can't cover every call that comes through. But if we trust them and we know they're doing it the right way, then we can kind of make sure that the patient's good with it and pass the calls back to them. And to touch on that people over profit mindset, that was one of the main philosophies that we had, because we wanted to take care of the nurses and the paramedics on the team. And people over profit is the way that we kind of started that philosophy, is pouring into our team, mostly, like, everything into our team. Pour into the people, and then you don't have to worry about the patient. The patient's going to get taken care of, because everybody on your team is they're buying in, they love what they do, and then they take care of them in a great way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Circling back around to the merger, going back. So again, CEO down to CPO. I'm not saying down like it's like a D grade.
It's a step down for sure.
Definitely. Was there any again, we're just gonna ask straight up, any tension, anything going on, or you were just kind of relieved that you went that route?
Yeah, I mean, Brad, who's the CEO of both companies now, of the umbrella company, he's great. He's very good he's very articulate, very smart guy. He's a PharmD. He's extremely well organized. I am not. I'm pretty ADHD, but I know what I'm good at, and I care about people. I love the people on my team, always have, and that's like my dream job, is to be involved with our team. And so when we did the merger, Brad and JC both, they're really good leaders, but I felt like I was in the wrong spot. I liked being the CEO. I loved running the company. It was great. But being the chief people officer, it just has changed my entire life and my outlook on just continuing that path and that philosophy of taking care of our people on the team and hearing them and being kind of the liaison between the executive team and the team itself.
How do you like it so far?
I love it.
Good.
It's amazing. Like for instance, I'm not a guy who can put out schedules for the team and delegate. If I need something done, I just do it. And Brad is very good at delegating, and he's good at talking with people and putting out a plan and putting out PowerPoints. I never use Excel until doing business, and he's like a wizard on Excel, and that's helpful as well, and PowerPoints and all that stuff. But I'm learning a little bit, and some AI is helping me with some PowerPoints and whatnot.
Yeah,
but
no, definitely. Let's pause from all that. Let's pretend you woke up tomorrow and everything was gone, just gone. Like, you didn't have contracts in place, you didn't have anything in place, and obviously you wanted to do mobile IV therapy. There are hundreds of people that message out to me, to others. Mm-hmm. How do you start mobile IV therapy? How do you start mobile IV therapy? What do you need to do? And obviously, I'm not saying take us through the LLCs and the structure and all that, but like, to get like your first 10 clients, what would you do to just start? Let's say you have everything set up, you're waiting for mobile IV therapy, you're out in the field, you have a couple nurses with you. What would you do to try and ramp this up as fast as possible over the next 6 months to a year?
If I was leading the company, I would just encourage the team that I have at that point to talk with people around them. That's the best way to get business, is people that actually already trust you. Not like an MLM type deal where you message everybody on Facebook and you're just saying that you got this new cool product. But more so like, hey, if you're ever in need, I'm here for you. I'm your IV guy. I'm your IV girl. Like, let me come and help you. And just kind of talking. I mean, letting people know what you do is the biggest thing.
Yep, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I want to really touch on that. Mobile IV therapy is not MLM. It is not.
Not at all.
And people need to get that out of their head. I don't know what's going on, but the state of Utah, Iowa, a few others in Texas, they believe mobile IV therapy is multi-level marketing, and it's not. And it's like, you guys are nuts. Like, it's not. You're missing out on a massive opportunity. And it's obviously people just shitting on a mobile IV therapy because the nurse has to obviously, our structure, I've seen so much structure in this field. I've seen people do 30-70 where somebody gets 30% and they get 70. I've seen where nurses buy their supplies. I see where the companies buy their own supplies and then give it to the nurse. I've seen it's been nuts. It's been such an insane way of doing it. So like, what do you think is the best way to do it?
I think just the independent contractor is the way to go, but there are some that do the W-2 route. But pay wise, I mean, it's kind of dependent on where you're at and who you're with.
Do you think the W-2 route can work?
It can work. There are companies that do it. I will always be looking at what's best for the nurse. With independent contractors, they work for you. I mean, they don't work for you. You work for them. They can go anywhere. They can go to any company that they want, and they can choose to leave anytime they want. So when I go to work, I'm working for them. They're not like an employee that works for you and the company. They are independent, and they can work themselves, and they can go anywhere they want. So if we're doing something wrong or we're not paying well enough, then we got to fix that.
Yeah. Well, say a nurse is W-2, right? And it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Like, yeah, they're structured. Hey, they got to be there 8 to 4. But do you think that W-2 nurse is going to go above and beyond and try and get 11 calls in from 8 to 4?
Probably not.
Depending on the contractor.
Because they're working for an hourly rate, and they're just going to do what they do. But if they're building their own business within your organization, then they're going to push it. And they're going to want to get those repeat clients and those regulars that build up their book of business.
Yeah, and that's what I try and tell everybody when it comes to W-2s. And I'll mention somebody, down in Tucson. Won't mention name, but he's a 1099er, and we recently went over his style, and he's number one, light years ahead of everybody else. It's disgusting of how a 1099 contractor paramedic can just get so many people and make so much money. I mean, he's pushed past. It's ridiculous when you see kind of the money that some of these people make, as contractors, and then people try and say, well, W-2 would be better because you cover the calls, because that's the biggest problem in the mobile IV world is you get calls in and you can't fill the calls. What do you do about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we work with other companies, trusted companies out there. We worked with Mobile IV Medics for quite a while, and when we couldn't cover those calls, we'd make sure the patient's good with it, and then we'd send them over there, and they would be able to cover them. That's the biggest reason why we keep it friendly with other companies. Like, I have no haters out there that other competitors that want to come after us or anything like that, because we may be the largest, but we're not shooting to be the number one company in the country. I hate when that's posted, and I know we do that as well, but I don't like that. I don't like to be putting my ego out there or our team's ego out there. I just like to perform and do well and cover the patients that do come in as best we can. But we want to cover everybody. But when you're doing W-2, it's just a different world. They're not going to give as good of customer service. Sometimes they will, of course, but if you're doing it yourself and you're trying to build up your own book of business underneath that umbrella, it's just you got more buy-in and you got more customer service because they're working for themselves underneath your umbrella.
Do you think there's a model to do 24/7 mobile IV therapy?
Oh yeah, there are, especially in the places like Vegas and whatnot. You just got to have the right medical director and the backing there, and then the buy-in with the people on the team.
Yeah. So say like 2 a.m. And again, I'm in this field. I know the answer. I would love to just pick your brain on it. When it comes to it. So like 2 a.m. you get a hangover call, and you're obviously treating the hangover patient, but that's not really all that we technically do. I would say maybe 5% of your business is hangovers, and 95% is actual sickness. So when you have those, and we have the comments, I see them all the time. Drink a Gatorade, drink water, take Advil. So, and I don't think people really truly understand it, because I literally try and educate as many as possible. Like, when you're throwing up, you can't just drink water. Yeah. So it's just, how do you break that in to where I know there's been people, I've had nurses that have applied for, I would only assume me, and they have literally told me, like, this is a fat, this is nothing. Yeah. I've had doctors come to me and say, you're putting microplastics into their arm. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, when it comes down to it. And I just wanted to get kind of your thoughts on that, if you've ever crossed anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it happened a lot more before COVID, that we'd get a lot of hate online about it, and it's just, you're just going to pee it out, whatever. But, when you have a miscalculation of adult beverages, instead of calling it a hangover, it does dehydrate you. And we're inherently dehydrated as it is. We're 70% water, so we do need fluids, and it's the best way to get it is through an IV. If you're drinking water, if you're drinking Gatorade, yeah, you'll retain some of it, but you will you'll pee it out, and it just won't stay with you. If you have stuff to do, an IV is the best route, of course. If you have like an insane amount of miscalculation of adult beverages, then you're going to be struggling no matter what, but it will bring you back up to where you're like, all right, I'm not going to die in this bed or couch or whatever. But I mean, the IV industry has always been kind of, there's doctors, there are some doctors out there that are against it, but they give you an IV in the hospital anytime you go in there for any type of illness, or if you're hungover
for
or whatever it is.
Yeah,
exactly. And they charge you an arm and leg, and it's the same thing. So you're rehydrating your body, and you're gonna retain a lot more of that fluid because of the vitamins and nutrients and minerals that we do give. So it's gonna make you feel better. You're gonna bring back your B12 levels, your magnesium levels, everything that you will need in your, not everything, but it's going to bring you back to where you're going to be functioning rather than just an oral intake of fluids.
Got it. Yeah. Going back to our first conversation, because I'm just curious, and like, I'll go down this rabbit hole because, I've always been super curious about this, but going back to the Sonora thing in Mexico, 8 people died. It was in April. Puff piece, AZ Central. Basically, I would love to, without misquoting it, I'd love to go in and reread it again because it was just the puff piece about it. I know that really stuck out was we're unrelegated. They really just shat over mobile IV therapy, like in general. And the thing is, it didn't even happened in our damn country. It happened in a separate country. And, again, do you think we're going to have repercussions? Do you see relegations coming in the future?
I mean, every regulatory body out there, they'll have their own opinions on it. They do have some, regulations out here in Arizona already, but they're not like perfectly lined up. And I wish that they would come and talk to the American IV Association because that's where the research is being done. They're focused on so many other things at the nursing board and the medical board. They're dealing with all kinds of more important things than simple IV therapy. And I wish that they would talk with an association that has been doing this research for a long time, and they have a Florida healthcare laws backing them. So it's a very strong community that can give that information and the right way to do it and safely. And that's the biggest thing. When a regulatory body comes after you and you get a complaint or something happens, talking with them is the best route to do it. Being aggressive with them will not work because the government always wins. So just trying to be open-minded and talking with them, seeing what you can do with them to make this a better industry and to keep it safe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they have their hands full. And again, we can go on this topic and we can talk for maybe 10 hours. But I mean, they have their hands full with the peptide industry. I mean, you have Facebook groups, you have people that are literally. I mean, well, you have some medical background. I mean, you have people like me that have no medical background that can literally open up a peptide company right now and be like, "Hey, I got peptides," slanging them out, dude. That's just wild to me, and I hope they put a stop to that. I really do.
Yeah, they're cleaning it up. I know they're kind of opening it up a little bit more to where they're researching it a lot more, and they're getting more studies done, which is fantastic because peptides are great. But when you have those bad players out there that are getting it from China, which is not regulated at all out there, you got to do it U.S. based, and it's better to keep it in house anyway. But
yeah. And then again, it's just a lot of things going on. Beginning of Q3 in 2026, semaglutide might not be available to us anymore. I mean, it's looking rather bleak, when it comes to it. But again, something happening in another country. Do you think it's going to drastically affect Arizona? Do you think it will drastically affect any of the rules or the laws that you see in all 50 states? Because the thing is about mobile IV therapy is every law is different in every state.
Yep.
And so do you think it's going to have a negative impact? Do you see it?
I don't think so. I mean, there was a death in Texas, unfortunately, where it was actually a friend of hers that gave her TPN, which is not supposed to be given the way that she administered it. And unfortunately, as well, she wasn't even a medical provider. She didn't have a medical background, and she killed her friend, unfortunately. But, they started doing some rules around that. And I'm like, wait, the rules were already in place. They just went outside the line. Exactly. Why are you punishing the rest of us who are doing it correctly?
Correct. And that's Jennifer's law, correct?
Yeah.
And yeah, and the thing is, they just completely screwed paramedics. Texas hates paramedics. I don't understand why they would do that. And the thing is, the thing that drives me nuts is it wasn't even a paramedic.
No.
It was
who'd they call when she unfortunately passed?
A paramedic.
Paramedics.
Yeah.
They come to go save her, but they can't give simple IV hydration. And this is why I'm very passionate about paramedics, and I'm a little biased because it's what I did. But it also, this industry, I would say, saved a lot in my life, and because of the PTSD that I was dealing with. And there's a lot of things with firefighters when they do retire, and they're still good. They're good at what they do, and they need another place to work, but they can't handle going on an ambulance. They can't handle going back to the fire department, but they still want to serve their communities, and they're great at what they do. They go into people's homes. They know how to talk with people. They've been in high-stress situations, and this is super easy and light, and they can recognize if the patient is sick or not sick. When a paramedic walks through the door, you can look at a patient, and you can't diagnose them or anything, but you can be like, all right, I need a load and go, or I can stay and play on an emergency. With the IV industry, there's been multiple times where I've gone into a home to treat a patient, and I'm like, I can't treat you. I'm sorry. Before I've even done anything. You can tell by the color if they're clammy, if they're at that point, and then you can kind of confirm with the vital signs and whatnot. But like right away you can recognize if somebody can get an IV.
Yeah, and that's what drives me nuts about it. And again, I'm not medical. I'm not a paramedic. I'm not a nurse. I went to nursing school for a quarter, maybe 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, in my 20s. But I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. They told me something about how I had to work in like the cancer wing and like,
Sure.
get your hours. I said, yeah, I'm good. There's no way. But so anyway, I got introduced to paramedics, and paramedics, I realized they're the ones that go into your home first, no matter what. And they're there they can assess, they'll hit you with ketamine, they'll hit you with morphine, they'll hit you whatever they need to. But heaven fucking forbid you push Toradol in a mobile IV therapy space.
Yep.
Nope, can't do that. Can't do Pepsid, can't do NAC, can't do NAD. And it's like, I don't understand when they're going to fix that. And I hope they will fix that. I know there's certain rules and gray lines, when it comes to it. There's some medical directors that won't allow paramedics to do certain things. And then there are medical directors, if they get a training, they can do certain things. And I just hope one day we wake up and it's just, nope, you could do whatever you want as long as it's in your scope of work and in your box. And I don't know if we're ever going to see that.
Yeah, I hope they do. I'm a big proponent on that, because of not what it does just with the mental health, but you're giving them an opportunity to benefit their families and to take care of patients. And it doesn't make sense to me that paramedics are trusted in the most dire times of need when somebody has the worst day of their lives. They handle that high stress and they're able to give narcotics. They're able to give so many things. I mean, you can crike people. There's so many things that a paramedic can do out there, but doing the mobile IV therapy and vitamins, it's a little bit too scary apparently. But it frustrates me when we get to that point where they'll use up paramedics to do the hard work, but they won't allow them to get into this space, which is perfect for them.
Yep.
I always say the nurse paramedics are the unicorns of the industry because they've dealt with the on-scene, the first responder life, and then they also have that care side of things where you can slow down a little bit and being a nurse, and they're very caring. Not saying that paramedics aren't caring, but like my first IV call, I was throwing stuff all over the place. I did it super quick, and I'm like, I didn't have my team to help me out clean up or anything like that, and I was just rushing through it. And I'm like, okay, I got to slow down a little bit and actually take care of this patient, talk with them instead of just trying to treat them and go.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're trained to do, is just to move quick and move fast.
With that being said, you just triggered something in my head, so I'm gonna go a little bit off. But what do you think about tipping? What do you think about it's nuts. I'm serious. Like, there's so many people that we will hire, or we'll talk to people we hire, because we hire for not just us, but we hire for 15 other companies. Yep. And they're like, well, what do you mean tipping? I'm like, tipping. And they're, I've had complaints or detailed emails stating, why do you guys allow them to tip? And I just wanted to get your kind of your thought on that.
It's kind of a weird thing. Me personally, I believe that we live in America and you can do whatever you want with your money. So if somebody feels like you did a great job on a heart surgeon, if they want to tip the surgeon, I think that would be great. But I know there's reasons why they prevent that in the healthcare space, but that's more geared towards the insurance space. This is health and wellness. It's also medical, but it's more geared towards, hey, I need help now at my home. You're going to be driving to my home. If you do a great job, I'm going to tip you. I think that's totally fine and acceptable. I know that there's some gripers out there that complain about it, or they think it's worrisome. As of right now, it's a cash pay business, so it's totally acceptable.
Yeah, I'll never understand, because we've actually had complaints from people that have tipped, and they're like, "Well, we didn't mean to tip that much." I'm just like, yeah. I don't know how.
We've had that too.
I know, but it's just like you got some balls, dude, to message us and be like, "Hey, we tipped too much," and it's fascinating seeing people react like that, because they're okay with calling and complaining, but they won't do it right there in person. It's just fascinating to me to see, like, they were just there. You could have just said no, and nope, they're like, oh no, they're gonna tip, and then
feel pressured.
I mean, I do feel bad, but I'm a huge advocate in tipping. I believe mobile IV therapy, when we have it down, is a concierge service. Yeah. I believe that's just what it is. And then when you really think about it, and I was literally doing it in my head, what's your cheapest package right now?
105.
105. So for $105, we can literally get a registered nurse in Arizona. We can get a registered nurse or a qualified paramedic to come to the house and assess us. And then obviously you guys run good faith exams as well. You're compliant with Arizona, nursing board and all that, DHS, all that stuff. So not only are you clearing them from a GFE and they're getting excellent care from somebody that's probably been a nurse for 5, 10, 20 years. Same thing with paramedic. But they're paying $105 to get that.
Yep.
Like, that's crazy. Like, when you really think about it, compared to, let's go sit in a room with a bunch of other sick people when I have the stomach flu or I have the flu or something's wrong, and let's wait there, try and contact another something that's going on there, maybe get sick from something completely different, and then sit there for 8 hours. It's almost a no-brainer. And people have no idea that mobile IV therapy is available to them.
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts to me. So $105, do you think the pricing is good enough where it is, or do you believe the pricing is correct, or do you guys see, raising your obviously pricings down the road?
I mean, I always like to see it as like being as affordable as possible for the clients out there. We want to focus on volume, but I also believe that you're not paying for the supplies. You're not paying for the medical supplies in that case when you're looking at the total cost. You're paying for the expertise of the person coming to see you, and you're paying for the supplies as well. But like, we're coming to your home, your office, hotel, to treat you where you're at, so you don't have to take a drive anywhere. And you bring up a good point. Like, during COVID, we were thinking about closing down the company just for a short period of time because we didn't know what it was back then.
Yeah, true.
Now we do. But back then we were kind of like, hey, we want to make sure that our team is taken care of. And we're like, what do you guys think? Like, should we stay open? Should we keep going? And there were stories coming in like, hey, I just treated a pregnant patient last week. They should not have been going to the ER when there's COVID going around when they're pregnant, and they should be at home and get a simple IV where we can come in. It's nice and controlled. You're not in that petri dish of an ER and people coughing all over you and whatnot. So, like, I believe it's important to do that. And if you can't really compare it to the medical service and treatment that you can get at the hospital if you're dealing with something that's emergency. If it's an emergency, definitely go to the hospital. Yeah. We are non-emergent, but if you're able to get treated at home, I mean, I believe that it should be priced up higher just because I know what the benefit is and the comparison to the medical hospital and the insurance and how much it costs, because a simple IV can cost upwards of $2,000 to $4,000 when you can just have somebody come to your home and do it for 10% of the cost.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then what do you think about all these other there's companies out there, not just in Arizona, but I think all over the United States, that don't run good faith exams. Good faith exam, for those of you that don't know, a good faith exam is basically getting an okay from a higher level of care from a nurse practitioner. I believe a PA can do it. I believe a DO can do it. What do you think about all these companies that are doing it behind the scenes, not doing it? Will they eventually get caught, or do you think it's just always going to be, some type of level of just black market IVs?
I think it's definitely harmful to the industry. When you're not doing it the right way, it just hurts everybody else, and that's why we can't have nice things. So It's unfortunate when people do that. If you don't have orders, if you don't have GFEs done, there are some states that don't require it, but we do it in every single state now because we just decided to pull the plug and make it happen, because it's as safe as we can keep it and as good as we can keep it, and then show the nursing board and medical board. If we can show them everything that we're doing, they're happy with what we're doing. If you have people digging into your business, it's never fun when the government comes in, but when they look at it and they're like, oh shoot, you guys are doing it right, that's a good thing. So whenever I talk to other companies, I just encourage them, if they're not doing it that right way, I just say it's not worth it. You're going to get your business shut down. You could get your license taken away. If somebody does get hurt, God forbid, then it's going to be a bigger issue, and then you're going to be on the news, and you could potentially get thrown in jail for negligence.
Isn't there something going around right now, Arizona? Man, you just reminded me. Some lady was selling out of her. Oh, I can't remember the name. Cruz, if you can look that up. It was in Avondale. It was something close by. Some lady was selling Botox fillers, injectable BBL. It was something crazy, and it's here in Arizona, and she's actually going on trial. Okay,
Yeah,
see,
she had a medical director outside of the state, and she knew about it. That's the biggest thing, is that they proved that she knew about it. There are text messages where she's like, I'm fine with it.
But you know what's crazy is, like, that's technically not our world, but that light like that shines on this world. It's so dumb.
Definitely does.
It's, I wonder what's gonna happen. She might go to jail.
I don't know why people risk that. The time and effort that you put into your license to try and make a few $100 is just
hire an NP.
Do it the right way.
Yeah, it's not really not difficult. Hire an NP, hire a nurse. Get them trained, get them certified. Talk to, how easy it is. And I'm not the, I'll be super transparent. I'm not like the biggest fan of certain things, and I'm obviously not talking shit on anybody, because I appreciate what they do. But you have services like Qualify, you have services like Guardian Medical, who can get you a medical director, who could have stuff like that. It's just super easy. It's just, with that being said, going into it, I'd love to know just a little bit on, your background, how you became something with AmericanIV.com, American IV Association. Obviously, you're a founding member. We're a key vendor over there with OMG Marketing. I'd kind of like to know how you kind of crossed into that realm.
So we were actually building out our own association at the time, and before we saw them.
What year was this?
This was 2020 or 21. That we started to look into that, because we're like, we need to bring everybody together, power in numbers, and to be on the same side and try and make sure that everything's safe and people are doing it the right way. So we were building our own association at that time, and then all of a sudden I started seeing that we had our bylaws written, we had like people on there ready to go, and then they came out and we're like, you know what, let's support them rather than building our own. We want to focus on our business. And when they came out, we started talking with them, went to a couple conferences with them, and over the years they've been improving a whole lot, and they're getting stronger and stronger with the more people that get involved. Obviously things take money, getting in front of congressmen and Maha. I mean, I know that they're in contact with RFK Jr., which is great, because that can help our industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
So they're very beneficial to the community and the industry as a whole. Just keep it, progressive and moving forward, and not stagnant, and making sure that it doesn't get shut down.
Got it. Let's 2026, obviously you had your merger. You've been in this field for 10 years. It's been crazy. I've been in here for 6. Hopefully, I'm here for the long run. I don't plan on doing anything else but this. But, let's fast forward 2030, 2031, 2032. Do you believe that mobile IV therapy is still going to be here?
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt. There are some states that have shut it down and they brought it back. Louisiana just, I believe, I'm not an attorney or anything like that, but I believe that Louisiana just opened it back up, and they shut it down for a bit and said you can only have certain people doing it, like MDs going out there and doing it, which was just, it's not feasible to make that happen. There are perfectly qualified individuals out there as nurses and paramedics being able to do this type of service for people in their home, to where they don't have to leave their home. We come to you, we have everything with us, we do everything right, and we still have orders, we have the good faith exams, everything that we need is being done properly, so in keeping them safe. So we do quite a few IVs, and we very limited minor allergic reactions, things like that. Nothing, just local. Which
can happen in a hospital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. And we carry emergency drugs too, just in case, but luckily we don't use those. So it's just for backup if we ever need it. And then we all have our emergency protocols. If something does happen, calling 911, getting somebody taken care of. And usually we catch something before, and there's been countless number of times where we've gone to a patient's home, especially during COVID, where people were not supposed to be ordering an IV and they were staying at home, but if they didn't call us, they potentially could have died. So it's just us being able to check on them as well, not treat them, but then send them to the hospital. It saves their lives.
Got it. And again, with that being said, we're pretty much going to be wrapping up here. I would, again, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you coming on. And, before we end any of this, is there anyone that you want to shout out? Is there anyone that you want to, say anything to and be my guest?
Just my family, first and foremost. I mean, without them, my wife, I wouldn't be able to do this. She was extremely supportive, and, you know, just our team as well. Our team's fantastic, our leadership team, you know, and then you guys, other companies alike. I mean, it's people in the industry as a whole. I mean, keep doing the right thing, rely on each other, work with each other, don't get too competitive, and just love what you do.
Jonny, really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, brother.
Yep.
Thank you.